She's passionate about telling stories of amazing women who are rocking the world and empowering women to live, love, and thrive. Here's your host, Katherine Gray.
Hi, welcome to Live, Love, Thrive Women's Empowerment Hour, brought to you by 360karma.com. We have on an extraordinary guest today. She has been a women's activist her entire life. Started out with now, when it was just beginning, National Association of Women. Is it that? Organization of Women. And that's back when Betty Friedan had just started it and been very instrumental in helping fight for the ERA, which we're going to talk about today. So please give a warm welcome to my guest, Jean Conger. Hi, Jean. How are you?
I'm so happy to be here. Thank you.
I'm happy to have you. Oh my
honored.
gosh, you really have dedicated your entire life
well,
to,
I can't say that.
Fighting for women's rights. Oh, I could definitely say that. You've done more than most. Let's put it that way.
Okay.
Yeah, don't be shy.
No.
Yeah. But let's talk about your beginnings, and then we're going to work our way up to talking about the ERA and why, we've had the right to vote since 1920, but we're coming up on 2020 without having an Equal Rights Amendment.
That's right.
And I want people out there to understand what it means, why it hasn't passed, and how we need to pass it before we hit the 100-year mark.
Right.
Right?
That's right.
And I think it's coming, but it won't come unless we educate people about it.
Exactly.
But you're a Brooklyn girl.
I grew up. No, I didn't grow up in Brooklyn.
Yeah.
I was born in Brooklyn.
You were born in Brooklyn.
I grew up on Long Island.
Oh, I love Long Island.
Yes, I grew up on Long Island, and then I moved to lots of different places, but
you were on
where
the
my
lam,
children,
huh?
Yeah, right, exactly.
You did tell me you got kicked out of school.
That's right. I got kicked out of a junior college. Yes. I didn't obey the rules. Anyway,
you told me you like to color outside the lines.
yes, because there's more room out there.
There's more room out there. Yeah, no wonder you and I get along. So tell me. So
what happened was I married my second husband. And
wait a minute. What about your first husband?
My first husband is the father of my wonderful children.
And you got married at 19.
I got married at 19.
Yeah,
and
that seems to have been the norm back then.
Yeah,
everybody I interview from that time, when you were growing up, most of them got married around 18, 19, which today is pretty unheard of.
Yes.
But, yeah.
Yes.
Thank goodness.
So when I was 26, 26, I met him. I was getting my college degree,
your second
my
husband.
Teaching degree, my second husband.
Oh,
yes.
yeah, I can
my
see you don't even want to talk about the first one.
The first husband, it's not that. It's that I grew up with him.
Yeah.
In Long Island. His family.
High school sweetheart?
That kind of thing. We didn't go to the same high school. He grew up on Park Avenue.
Oh.
And we got married. He was a stockbroker. And he also was bipolar, which we didn't know about at
Okay,
that
say
time.
no more.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah, moving
but
right along.
he was really trying.
Yeah.
But in any event, I went back to school. I got my degree in teaching. And then my husband and I met him at Stony Brook is where I went to college. And I met him there. And his name is Steve, and we got married and moved to Delaware with the 3 children.
Wow!
So I got a teaching job there.
Now, what made you pick Delaware?
Because he had a job at DuPont.
Oh, okay.
Yes.
Well, there was a reason. Yeah.
Very important.
Yeah.
So yes, we did that. And
now, interesting things started to happen when you moved to Delaware.
Exactly. It was 1970.
Yeah.
And one of my neighbors in the neighborhood we were living in said, "Would you be interested in going to this National Organization for Women consciousness raising session?" And I said, "Okay, I'll see what it is."
Yeah.
So I went, and oh my gosh, I felt like I'd come home.
Really?
I felt like
how many women were there?
There were about 15.
15, and you just felt like
it was all of the things that frustrated me during my adolescence and school years and things like that.
The sexism.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I realized that's what it was.
Right.
And so I became a member of Now immediately.
Right.
And the first thing we did in the first event we had was, the want ad said women wanted, men wanted, separate pages.
Yeah.
Well, What we did was protest that outside the Wilmington Daily Journal with our picket signs.
Oh, so that the
and our white gloves.
classifieds didn't say women want it, men want it.
Yeah, they said women wanted, men wanted.
And you
we
wanted
were
to
saying
change
we
that.
wanted, there should be no
Absolutely.
reason. Women could do a lot of
Yeah.
the jobs that men could do and vice versa.
Yeah.
So
Now, see, I would think
took them a week to take it down.
Oh.
They finally.
And I would think that I hope in listening to this entire program that
Mm-hmm.
women will, young women, will listen to these stories that you have and say, what? Like, are you kidding me? They had a wanted section separate,
Yeah.
but it's people like you that changed that.
A lot
Yeah.
of yes,
Yeah.
and our entire little chapter
Yeah.
came out.
Well, you became quickly the president of
President
that chapter,
of that
right?
chapter, and then the state coordinator,
Mm-hmm.
and then I became a member of the national board as a regional
Wow.
co-coordinator. We had
Now,
two of us.
this is when the famous Betty Friedan was involved. She started this in 1968 with some other people.
That's right.
And I know she's, if anybody studies the history book, she's like well known to all about the women's movement.
That's right.
And so you got to know her and work with her.
I didn't. I can't say that I worked closely with her. I do know that we didn't always get along at the board level.
Right.
Okay. But we also. I remember when we were going someplace, and I came on the plane, and she was on the plane. She said, "Oh, here, sit down here in first class." So I did move back, but yeah, she would talk to me, and I would talk to her.
Yeah.
I can't say we were friends, but
Right.
we were colleagues. We had the same goals.
Right.
Strategy may have been a little different,
Right.
but we had the same goals. We
Yeah.
needed equality for women.
Right. That's
what
that was
we were
the goal.
all working for.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so I think a lot of young people, too, don't understand that, we didn't, of course, have the right to vote until 1920, which
Right.
is not that long ago. And then right after that, you all started working on this ERA, this Equal Rights Amendment. And what did that mean? It meant that there would be equality no matter what your sex is, right? Is that what it says?
Yes, basically.
And
I
and
wish
that's
I
to
had
change
memorized it a long time ago, but right now it's
Right.
I printed it out for myself, but it's basically that women would have the same equality as men.
Right.
Okay?
That's the
that,
gist of it.
That basically what it was it would be equality for men and women, and that no states or the United States could discriminate against men or women because of their gender.
Right.
Okay.
And they wanted to ratify the Constitution to say this.
You had to. That's the
Right.
only way you could get an amendment in the Constitution.
Right.
Was what you would do. You had to go state by state. We had 38 states that we had to
Get
convince
in order
okay?
to amend the
That's
Constitution.
right. Delaware was the first.
Right.
Okay.
Oh, I love that. Yours was the first. Yeah.
Yes.
Just
And then-
saying.
Yeah, exactly. And then we went on, and it went on through 1979, and that
I
was
know
when it was 72 to 79. We had 7 years.
And we have
to
a
try it.
picture of you in 79
Yes.
standing outside the Senate.
Right, when they extended it another 3 years.
Right. Which meant you had another 3 years to try to get it ratified.
Till 1982.
Right.
We had
Which still didn't happen.
35, which didn't happen, no. But since then, I have to tell you that a couple of months ago, Nevada became the 36th one
36.
to ratify, yes.
Now, is it, do we have to start over, or do we just add on 36, 37, 38 and get there?
Well, this is what is happening in Congress, okay? There are men and women in the House and in the Senate who are working on submitting this, okay? There are several ways people are looking at it. One is the three-state strategy, where, we would only put
3 more states.
three more states. Or start over again. And they're still working on it. There's something called the ERA Coalition, which is 83 different organizations and rising.
Yeah.
Okay. But I think the main leaders are the Feminist Majority, which is an organization that is a national organization, and it is It is based in Washington, D.C., in Alexandria, actually. But in that
that's
area.
where I was born.
Oh, really?
Yeah, yeah.
Oh, great.
Yeah, that's probably why they're holding it there.
That's probably so. Yes, yes. So yeah, that the Feminist Majority, the National Organization for Women, okay, which is also in that area in D.C., and AAUW, the American Association of University Women.
So any woman
all
can
of
get
these.
involved in any of these.
Yeah, absolutely.
Now,
Absolutely.
Feminist Majority, all of these various organizations.
Or even go to a march.
Right.
You know?
Yes. I was just going to say, so the march is this Saturday. I know I'm going. You
Yes.
just knitted me and Deborah these cool pussy hats.
Yes.
I guess I'm allowed to say that.
Yes, you are.
And we are going to wear those on Saturday for the
so
march.
glad. I'm so
yeah.
glad. Yes.
And the purpose of this march is so many things, but
It is.
just to push this women's movement ahead, the Me Too
All of that.
you know, I don't want to say program, but the platform ahead, and just the equality in general.
Yeah, I was just going to say,
Yeah.
we people think that things have really changed. Well, in some areas they have,
Right.
But we're still not getting equal pay for equal work.
Do you know-
Okay,
do you know-
take a look at
Yeah.
what's going on in Hollywood.
Yeah.
All right, and there are people who are actors, stars.
Yeah.
and one woman gets 1% of what her co-star gets.
Right. Well,
You know,
this
those
is why
kinds
I'm
of
on
things.
the advisory board for Take the Lead Women, which is
Great.
50 women can, and they're picking 50 of the top women in each industry. So my friend Tabby Biddle is heading up Hollywood film and television.
Wonderful.
And they're training these 50 women that are the top of the top to go back into the industry and create this gender parity that's, you know, so we have that
Right.
equality.
Right.
And so it's going to take that kind of an active movement. We can't just wait. Look, it's taken us 100 years.
Exactly.
And we're at 98 years. We still haven't passed the ERA, which I think a lot of people, they don't know what it's about. They don't even know they don't have it. They don't know that we need to pass this.
That's right.
And I think that that's the effort that we need to make now, is in educating
Exactly.
a lot of people about this so that they'll fight for it.
For example, a recent case, I think it was 1996, when some women, they were wanting to get into the Virginia Military Institute, and it went all through the courts, and they still didn't do it because they had to prove something.
Right.
And so women were not allowed. So until we get the Equal Rights Amendment, we are not equal.
We are not
under
equal.
the law.
Right.
We are not.
So no matter
equal
how
under
much
the law.
progress we make,
Exactly.
we need this in the Constitution.
Exactly.
And so the way people can be proactive, number one is voting. Vote for people that are progressive that want to pass this amendment. Number two is going out to marches like Saturday.
That's right.
Number three is joining an organization, so you're actively participating.
That's right.
No matter which one it is, Feminist Majority, Now, Take the Lead Women, whichever one it is.
That's
right.
That's right.
And it's
or
why,
more.
Yeah.
You can belong to more than one.
Yeah.
too.
I mean, and it's why I'm
supporting
doing what
them,
I
yeah.
do at 360 Karma.
Yeah.
I just try to aggregate all those things at 360 Karma. We do everything from the conference to the workshop to
It's wonderful.
our investor panel of women.
Get to next year's.
Yeah,
Go to
thank
next
you.
year's, please.
Thank you. Yeah, yeah.
Great fun.
So, and we do monthly workshops too.
Yes, I know.
Yeah, yeah. So, at 360 Karma, our effort is to be a catalyst to showing women how they can reach these different
Right.
resources and tools and organizations to move this forward. So that's our goal. Our goal is, with the show and with everything that we're doing, is women's empowerment.
Yes, it is.
Yeah.
And until we get the Equal Rights Amendment in place, we are not safe. I mean, you look at all of the things that are going on now in government where they are repealing, but they're not even repealing. They're just getting rid of things that are inconvenient to them,
Right.
whatever their
Right. Oh, it's a
reason.
crazy
Yeah,
time.
it is.
I think the good thing is, though, it's infuriating people so much that they are getting more involved and
I think so,
rising
too.
up.
I think so,
I
too.
think this is the good that's coming out of it.
I agree.
Yeah.
I agree.
And I'm so glad about the Me Too and the Time's Up movement, because I feel like until you get rid of that, it's hard to move the rest forward. And so I'm glad we're addressing all areas of what's holding women back.
Yeah,
know?
those are some of the things that happen. And I know very few women who don't have a Me Too story, including myself.
Yeah,
but I'm not going to go into that now.
Right, we won't go into that, but it's so true that just about everybody I encounter has some story. Yeah, unfortunately. But I hope there's a day that we don't have that. You know when we'll have less of that? When more women are in positions of influence.
Exactly.
When more people are the women boss, obviously the harassment's not going to be going on, so to speak.
No.
I mean, there's very little...
much less of that. Yes.
Much less of it. I don't hear a whole lot of sexual harassment from women bosses.
That's true.
And when our Senate and Congress is half women,
Right.
which I know one day that will be. That sounds crazy today, but one day it'll sound crazy that it wasn't 50% women.
Well, what's interesting is that when we went into the campaign for the ERA, it was much more unbalanced.
Yes.
And what happened was during that campaign, women who got active realized that they could. They'd say, "Oh, I could do this.
Yeah.
I could run for office," and so many women ran for office.
And so many more
after
women
that.
are running now
That's
than
right.
ever, which I'm
Exactly.
so ecstatic about.
Yes.
Because you can't win if you don't run.
True.
Yeah. So I'm all about women running. And then you were telling me, like, I think it's important that well-known people get behind this cause. And you were telling me Norman Lear and his wife were behind the ERA campaign when you were involved.
Definitely.
Yeah.
As a matter of fact, what happened was I was a school
And we love
principal.
Norman Lear. Let's just say that right there.
I was a school principal. At that point, I graduated from teaching to being a principal.
Right.
And I was the national secretary the corporate secretary of NOW,
Right.
National Organization for
Right.
Women. And Ellie Smeal in 72 said, I would really like you to come and work for me. And I said, well, I can't. I don't have, I think it was 72. I said, I haven't been at this job long enough to say I can do it. So I said, I need at least 3 years. Anyway, move forward to 1979. 1979, she called me and said, Norman and Frances Lear want to give NOW something that would be a right-hand person for me, so I could concentrate on the politics. So would you meet with them? I did. Long story short, we were both happy with each other. They hired me, and so from 79 to 82, they paid my salary, and I worked on the ERA campaign full time.
I love that. Oh my God, how amazing.
It was.
And let's talk about you being a principal before you even did that, because
That's
at
right.
the time you were telling me 95% of principals at least were men.
That was in
And that was-
Delaware.
and that
Delaware,
was a
that's
huge
right.
thing for you to be a female principal.
And I
like
was-
people don't
that's
realize
right.
how rare that was.
That's right.
And you actually did something when you were involved with NOW. You submitted a lawsuit, an
Essentially,
EEOC
it was
against
a
the
complaint.
school
We
board
filed a complaint
of Delaware
That's right.
to fight for
all of the districts. We did a study.
sex discrimination.
Yes,
right?
we did a study on sex discrimination and the curriculum, how that was sexist. You know, it was Sally's helping mommy and little Jack is helping daddy.
Right.
You know, that kind of thing. And so what we did was we did studies of 3 major districts. We went to their school boards, we went to the superintendents, and they all said, well, we'll take it under consideration. And so then we filed the complaint. We just said, okay, sorry.
And you won, right?
Yeah, what happened was we filed this complaint with the Equal Employment Opportunity Commission, and they investigated, and they found cause in every single district.
Wow.
So people were getting back pay. We joined with the NAACP, by the way, because there was also racism within the educational system. So the complaint found cause for both, and back pay was given, and the policies were changed.
Wow.
So
I mean, and people
it was
don't
important.
realize, first of all, how one woman can make a difference. And I know you had a team of women around
team
you.
of women, yeah.
But you did lead the charge.
Was my signature.
You
on it.
led the charge. But so people can make a difference, and they can create change. And that's why
right.
I say, Jean, you're such a trailblazer. I mean, you have been
It's always
pushing
outside
forward.
the lines, you know.
Yeah, and it's so funny. I think people don't realize until they kind of look back, really, how much they've accomplished.
That's
Yeah.
Doing this was really wow. I forgot about that.
Yeah, I often
So
do that too when I look back on my
the women's
background.
prison
Yeah,
was a good
yeah.
example of that.
Yeah.
Okay, because part of what I was doing down in Delaware, doing
Yeah.
as part of now.
You weren't an inmate, were you?
No,
Okay,
no.
good.
I did volunteer there sometimes. But basically what I did was the U.S. Commission on Civil Rights said they were going to hold hearings on the prisons in Delaware. They'd had a lot of complaints. So they said, would I work with the women in the women's prison, which looked like it was something out of Dickens. It was these hard gray walls,
my God,
and
how
inside the
awful.
condensation was dripping down the walls.
Oh,
They did
wow.
not have health care. They did not have education, proper education. They were teaching them how to take care of their babies and how to look pretty for a man. For heaven's sake, a lot of them were prostitutes. They knew how to do that.
Right.
But in any event, so what we did was I got the group of women together. They testified before the U.S. Commission on Civil Rights. And the next year, the prison was closed, and they were moved to a different facility.
A better
and
facility?
now, yes, a better facility where they could get health care and education. And now they have built a new building for the Women's Correctional Institution.
Wow.
Yes.
You go, girl.
It was
You
a lot
have
of us, yeah.
evoked a lot of change for the
Yeah.
better for women. I mean, just in all fronts.
Well, I think also that's what happened when we put in the EEOC complaint.
Right.
I mean, it was banner headline on the Wilmington
Yeah.
Daily Journal.
Yeah.
NAACP and now sue
Right.
Delaware Department of Education. And so what happened was so many women realized that, oh, I could be a principal. Why
Right.
shouldn't I be a principal? But they had a thing there where before it was found
Yeah.
that the men could take the job of a principal without the credential.
Unbelievable.
As long as they were working on it.
But the woman had
not
to have the
women.
credential.
They had to have the credential.
Unbelievable.
First. Yeah.
And right before we started, you were telling me that your daughter Nancy spoke before a court. And tell me a little bit about that story.
It was actually the Delaware State Assembly.
Yeah.
This was during the ERA campaign,
Yeah.
and it was.
And she was like 15, 16.
She was
yeah.
15 years old.
And she spoke up and
Yes,
what
might have been
was
13.
And what
But
was she talking about to them?
What she was doing was she was out in the hall, and there were a whole lot of evangelical kids that were bussed in, and they started talking about, oh, blah, 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 blah. Your mother's a lesbian, blah, blah, blah. And she said, yes, she is. My mother is a lesbian. This is just about a bunch of lesbians, they would say. But no, she said, we need to have the Equal Rights Amendment, and she made her speech, and she was fantastic. She really was.
Yeah, apple doesn't fall far from the tree. Huh?
Well, she also,
We
I have
forgot to mention
I have
that
to
you
tell
ended
you,
up finding out you were gay, and now you've been with your partner
Yes.
34 years.
34 years.
Yeah, and honestly, that's a whole nother show about how Betty
Coming out,
Friedan
yeah.
didn't want the gay women
Right,
in the now, and
She was so afraid that
Yeah.
that people would just look at that and say, oh, it's just a bunch of lesbians.
right,
you know.
right. But
So-
finally, they came together because we do have to all come
Yes,
together.
yes,
and
that's right.
That's a big thing at
That's
360 Karma. I say we can't separate ourselves.
No,
It can't
can't.
be gay women over here, Jewish women over here, black women over here. Like we all have to come together. That's what's going to push this ERA forward, and this whole women's movement of equality is us coming together and working together. And I joke around, there's an old boys club,
Yes.
but no one wants to belong to the old girls club. Not even me. So I
smart
call
girls
it
club.
I call it the bold girls
Oh,
club.
good. That's a good one. That's a good one. I like that.
So
the Bold
that's-
Girls
that's
Club.
what we're on
Definitely
board
part of
for.
the part. Nancy
Yeah.
also wanted to play baseball with
Yeah.
Little League.
Yeah.
And she was one of the last plaintiffs that
Really?
made the Little League. Yes.
So
Yes.
made them accept women, girls
Girls-
on the,
girls
on-
in baseball.
I love that. Go Nancy.
She's great.
It runs in your blood, in your
Well,
family.
yeah, she's quite a rebel
Yeah.
herself.
And you have two girls and a
Two girls
and a son.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. Michael,
Awesome.
my son, lives here in LA.
Yeah.
And Nancy, of course, does. And then Kathy lives in Northern California.
Awesome.
In Oakland. Yeah.
Well, you are an amazing woman, and I know what I love is you are still going strong.
I am.
That's why you're here. You're like all about the women's empowerment. You're back. I know you're a member of 360 Karma. You are behind me. You're behind the
Absolutely.
Ratifying the ERA,
Absolutely.
and you are still doing your work. So
And my work is also, I work for Samtrans
Yeah.
in San Mateo,
yeah.
California, and it's a transit district, and I have started a program for in 2009 for older adults and people with disabilities to learn how to ride public transit and claim their independence. And now we've started a new program, the Veterans Mobility Corps, for veterans who have been disabled and come home and are not able to drive. And this is to help them maintain their independence.
I love that.
So,
Well, girl, you just keep going. And,
you
when
too.
I grow up, I want to be you. But we'll just keep on keeping on.
We
and
will. We
I
will.
know it.
I'm going to take advantage of all those wonderful programs you have in university.
Yeah, thank
and
you.
things like that. So
Thank
I'm
you.
really, I want to write. Everybody keeps telling me you should write a book about
I was
what
going
you've
to.
been
I was
doing.
just going to end with that. We're going to wrap now, and I'm going to tell you next time I see you, Jean, I want to see a book.
Okay.
Because you have a story to tell.
Yeah, there are lots of
Amazing
stories.
life. Oh my gosh, we haven't even touched the tip of the iceberg.
Yep.
Thank you for being here.
Thank you for having
And
me.
thank you for tuning in, and we will be back next week, so stay tuned. And hugs and happiness. Make it a great week.